Hello, and welcome to the From the Shadows podcast. I am the producer, Jason Lewis. I would like to thank you for tuning in to the From the Shadows podcast. And without further ado, here is your host, Shane Grove.
Hey, welcome to this week's episode of From the Shadows podcast. I'm your host, Shane Grove, and with me is super producer Jason. How's it going tonight, Jason?
Oh, doing just fine, Shane.
Hey, as we do our little introduction here for tonight's episode, which is the Clyde Paranormal group there?
Yes.
Or the Clyde Paranormal Investigators?
Yeah, they're called the Clyde Paranormal Investigation.
All right, yeah.
Headed up by their leader, David Hirt.
David Hirt.
Spelled H-I-R-T.
And the fabulous Sidney.
Yes, the fabulous Sidney. She's very fabulous.
Well, hey, before we get into that, there's something we wanted to kind of touch base on that some people have reached out and asked us about, and that's about our theme song, the music playing leading into the episode and leading out. I've had a couple people ask me about it.
Oh, I've had a lot of people ask me about it. They love that song. They want to know what movie it came from. I told them, I said, we don't steal things at the From the Shadow podcast.
We create. Well, the kind of, even though I can talk about the song, we're bringing in a special guest here in the intro, one Mr. David Wade. David Wade, are you here with us?
I am sure here. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, gentlemen.
Well, it's always a fun time when we get to hang out with you. So, David, you know a little bit about the song that we use as our theme song here for the podcast. You wanna give everybody a little background on the song before we'll have a special treat for everybody. We're gonna play the song. So,
in its entirety, folks.
In its entirety, yep. So David, you want to give a little background on the song?
Sure. Well, this is David Wade. I do songwriting, artist management, production. My website's www.neondeuce.com. And I was blessed to get to write this song with some very cool people. Shane Grove.
We know
from the podcast there.
I think we know him. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, and two other gentlemen from Nashville. One, Nolan Neal, who is had a #1 iTunes song with a remake of Tiny Dancer from his stint on The Voice. And then also Mike Allen, who is just a great songwriter, singer-songwriter, and that's Mike, A-L-A-N. And check him out on YouTube. I would not only recommend the song that we're talking about now, but another song that he did that's just amazing, and I just love it. It's called Next to You. He also had songs recorded by the rock band Saliva, and they're just great guys. And started off with Shane and I just kind of kicking around some ideas, talking about some things that we could write for movies and, your podcast and things. And like I said, we've just been really blessed to come up with some lyrics, to share those with Nolan and Mike, and come up with the track and kind of put everything together. And we've even had publishers in both Nashville and Los Angeles pitching the song for movies and other things. But we're just glad it landed in the podcast, and we think that it's going to have some other life to it in the future as well.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, everybody that some people listen to the podcast don't pay attention to the music. That's just the way it is. But the people that have and have contacted me, I've told them how to, go check out the song and stuff. And so as a little special treat for anybody, maybe it won't be a special treat, I don't know. But anybody that has not paid attention to the song, we're going to play it right now so you can check it out. And then when we're done listening to it, we'll let you know where you can go find the song.
Excellent. We really appreciate Mike Allen singing it. He just did a great job. His voice just goes so well with the music and just takes you somewhere kind of creepy.
Absolutely. Right, he did an excellent job with that.
All right, Jason, spin this record, man.
All right, without further delay, I've never been a DJ, but we're going to do this. Here we go, folks.
It's black and white, heaven and hell, where the things we want are not for sale. Hiding in the shadows, hiding in the shadows. It's a lack of love and shattered dreams. No thin lines, no in between. God only knows what's hiding in our shadows. Your mask, you've paid the price. Now collect your sacrifice. Hiding in the shadows, hiding in the shadows. It's a lack of love and shattered dreams. No thin lines, no in between. God only knows what's hiding in our shadows.
Every time we hear that song, it, you know what? It just creeps me out, man. Because Mike's voice is so bright for that kind of mood of a song. You know, I mean,
it fits perfectly.
Fits perfectly. And you know, Dave, you said that you know, we've had some publishers out there that have been pitching that song for movies, and I gotta be honest, I almost hope they don't get it put in a movie, because I'm pulling for us to be able to get my book series turned into a Netflix series, and that be the theme song. How cool would that be?
I think that would be great. Yeah. And just getting to work with Mike and Nolan, it's awesome. And like you say, Mike's voice just lends itself so well to that kind of eerie, spine shivering kind of things. And we're just pretty blessed to get to work with those guys.
And I will say that the payday for getting it on a Netflix series or a movie will be a lot higher than the payday than it being theme song to our podcast.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're still just lucky to have people listening to the song and liking the song, and I think it kind of creates the mood for your podcast.
Yes, it does. Yes,
it does.
So,
it does.
So, Jason, I think we're going to put this song up on our YouTube channel. You want to tell people how to find our YouTube channel?
Yes, just go to your search bar and go From the Shadows, and I notice it comes up. You don't. We've proliferated YouTube enough now that if you just put in From the Shadows, you'll see it because our logo will come up. Do
any of us really know what the word proliferated means?
Oh, absolutely, you do. We're all educated. Remember, we are listeners of the From the Shadows podcast, so we know that word.
Well, our listeners do, but I didn't know any of us hosts knew what that word meant. So we'll. Thanks, David, for joining us tonight, telling us a little bit about the song, and we hope everybody checks it out. Goes to YouTube after. Going to have that up by the end of the weekend, maybe.
Yes, that sounds about right in the timeline. We have a couple interviews we got to do, but I should be able to get it up by it'll be Monday morning at the latest.
All right, cool. So go check out Mike Allen. Go check out Nolan Neal. Check out David Wade at Neon Deuce, and just let us know what you think of the song. We'd love to hear it. This is for many people. This will be the first time hearing it all the way through, and we're proud to share it with you because it's a fun project to be able to do something from paper and hear it that well done. So thanks, David, for being a part of it. Thanks for coming on and talking about it. And
yes, David, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. This was quite a surprise for me. I didn't know this was going to happen up until this morning.
Well, hey, we're glad to do it. Check us out. Check out Nolan and Mike. And thank you, Shane, for just writing a good one. It's a good one. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
No problem. So we'll catch you later, David. And now, on with the show.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. This is Shane Grove, and I'm the host of the From the Shadows podcast. And joining me this fine evening are the super producer, Jason.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
The magnificent and holier-than-thou Judge.
Good evening.
And we are excited tonight to introduce to Northwest, North Central, all of Ohio, parts unknown, the team from Clyde Paranormal Investigation. So we have David.
Yep.
This is the part where you introduce yourself, David. I know this is the first podcast. Now let's go. Come on.
Oh, I was just waiting to finish, but yeah, my name's David. Northwest Ohio with Clyde Paranormal Investigation.
Now, so you wanted me to read like that three paragraph intro that you sent me? I mean, I didn't need to go over your seventh grade math scores. I mean, come on.
Right. Oh, those are low. Those are very low.
Okay, so David, would you like to introduce your team member that is joining us tonight?
Yeah, one of my members with us tonight is Sidney, and she was one of the first members that came into the paranormal group. So I'm glad to have her with us and very knowledgeable on
hey, Sidney.
things and whatnot.
Sidney, it's good to have you here tonight.
Oh, thank you. It's good to be here.
So guys, I know we were talking a little bit before we went on the air, but give us a little bit of background about how the group started and what led you guys to, I guess, get together and decide you wanted to start investigating stuff in Ohio.
I think I'll let David take that one over, and then I'll jump in on how I accidentally found the group.
Yeah. Right. Well, since I am the leader and from this group, but I've always had an interest in the paranormal with people's stories and all the TV shows and whatnot, and reading about the local legends. I've always had an interest. But once 2014 came along, when I had my newborn at the time, and the sleeping schedule with the infant and parent sleeping when they're sleeping, but when I could not sleep, I was either watching or researching on how to form a group. So basically, this was a 5-year ongoing research build on making the team. So I got my associate's degree with business administration, tourism, marketing, and 2019 was a good time after that, and having full time at the local factory, I was like, yeah, this is going to be a good time to do it. So I finished the page that was part of my homework for school. I finished that web page, made the Facebook page, and put a little bit of money in there to get a position opening ad out. And next thing I knew, we got Amanda and Mike were the first two, and then Sidney came along. Other than that, that's how the group came after 5 years. Sidney, you can explain how you came along the ad.
Oh, you handed it over to me? All right.
Yeah.
So I have been into the paranormal for so ridiculously long. When I was like 5 or 6, I was living in my grandma's house, which was the home of a murder-suicide. And we had crazy experiences there. That house is beyond active, and I cannot wait to go investigate that one. But I just kind of grew up around all of it. And then all of a sudden I started watching the TAPS Ghost Hunters, and then on the original Sci-Fi Network. And then I switched to Ghost Adventures, and I fell in love with Zach Bagans and washboard abs, whatever. But, I just kind of grew up in the spookiness, and I was scrolling through Facebook one day.
I'm just going to stop you right there. That leaves me and the judge out with the washboard abs. So.
Hey.
You have to look up Zach Bagans. You have to see him. If you see him and gaze upon his face, you would understand.
No, really. I don't think any of us are going to gaze upon Zach's face and just understand. But I will take your word for it.
See, that's all you got to worry about. I know what I'm talking about.
So go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. So I was looking for a job one day. I was kind of struggling through some stuff. And I just happened to find a paranormal investigator on Facebook. And I was like, oh my God, I wanted to do that since I could crawl, and since I knew ghost hunting was a thing. How do I do that? And I ended up messaging David, and we ended up setting an interview up, I think the next day. Him and I just clicked. And that was kind of the torch to kind of take off and run with it. And we kind of made it blew up, as you can see, because otherwise we wouldn't be here if we hadn't blown up.
I mean, did he promise you lots of travel, a high salary,
he promised possible emotional and physical manipulation via dark entities that we could come in contact with, and I signed right up for it.
So he asked you to marry him immediately?
No. The ghost in the house we're going to tell you about here in a minute, though, probably did. But we'll get to that story in a minute.
So the house that you mentioned, that was the scene of a murder-suicide. Did you ever, as an amateur or wannabe paranormal investigator, do any of your own research, or you just were a first front row spectator to the action?
No, the one Christmas, again, I think I was 15. My mom got me my first ghost hunting equipment, which was called a spirit box. And what it does is it goes through radio stations at varying frequencies and allows and provides white noise to allow entities to talk through it. And like I said, I've always had experiences over at my grandmother's house. It's awful over there. Like, there's still the blood stains underneath the carpet. And you can still see where the bullet hole went through the wall. But I started going upstairs where I've gotten pictures before. And for some odd reason, like, once I'm armed with these things, I get really brave. And which is hilarious because I'm a ball of anxiety otherwise. But I started going up the stairs, like, as proud as can be with this little ghost hunting equipment. And I was like, all right, well, what'll happen if I go upstairs? Because they've never liked me. I always get sick whenever I go up there. And I started going up the stairs. And the whole point of the spirit box is it scans through very quickly. Like, maximize, 0.5 seconds on each radio station. So there's not really much of a good sentence that can come out of it. But over the course of a solid 30 radio stations flipping through, a really dark male voice came out and said, "Don't you effing dare." And at that moment, I undid my headphones, I shut off the spirit box, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I'll leave, and I won't come back. And I haven't been back since.
So you are the brains, then, of the Clyde Paranormal Investigation.
I wouldn't like to call it that.
If you're smart enough to, what was Zach Bagans think of somebody turning around and running downstairs? Come on.
Hopefully he would take my hand and walk me right back upstairs and tell me everything's going to be okay, but that's a different story.
So let me jump in here. So we have people all over the world that are listening to our podcast, which is super cool. But there's a lot of people out there that aspire to do what you guys are doing. And you told us, a little bit how to form a group. But what equipment do you really need? You talk about a spirit box, but what equipment would you need to really get out there in the field and do some research?
I really feel, David, you want to take this or you want me to take it?
It doesn't matter.
I really feel that.
For now, it's just basic stuff. If you want to do it just to get your feet wet, it's just basic stuff. If you want to explain that, Sidney, you can. I'm sorry for cutting you off,
digital audio.
as usual.
No, you're fine. You're okay. So digital audio recorders are a big one. That way you can put it into a quiet room. You can weed out, is it traffic noises? Is it a wind gust? What could it possibly be? But that'll be able to pick up quite a bit of audio that comes around it. Again, my favorite is the spirit box just because it does provide that white noise. And it's a really good distinction from when you're listening to, say, the radio station come through or what an alleged voice could be. Again, like you hear the radio, I wish I had it on me. I click it through real quick and you can hear just very, like the minute syllables of words that'll come through from the radio station. So when you actually go through and you get full words or even full sentences coming through, that was always that's one of my favorite tools to use. And then, of course, you want to use your video camera. That's going to be all real time while you're there, while you're saying it. That's what's going on the camera as well. I usually try to keep it close to my head. So that way, wherever I'm looking, if something catches my eye, I will quickly turn the camera that way as well to kind of try to catch it the best way I can. But, being slow, it's kind of hard to keep up with spirits when you're as slow and as clumsy as some of us are.
I got to jump in on this one here. I got a question about the spirit box. The spirit box. Now, how exactly does an entity use that to communicate? Because you've mentioned that sometimes you get complete words and sometimes even complete sentences from the spirit box. How do they utilize what is being said through these alternating radio frequencies, or do they manipulate that and use that as like their voice box?
Essentially like a voice box type of deal. So when it's going, you've heard white noise. It's that constant static electricity sounding kind of, exactly, that garbled noise. Okay. So that is providing like a blank slate for a spirit to come through and use that energy coming off that tool in order to manipulate words and be able to speak in different ways. Because you can actually hear, you can a lot of times distinguish if it's female, if it's male, if it's a child. And it's always super cool to listen to. when you're going back at it. But we have, we've had quite a few different experiences. We've had growls come through. I think we had screams come through the one time.
See, now,
but I mean,
a growl doesn't sound all that interesting to me.
That's fascinating.
See,
I
wouldn't have thought so either.
I'm just saying, from a totally scared point of view, I'm not interested.
Oh no!
I'm not interested.
See, a growl. A growl
that's
doesn't
because
sound that
Grover's
scary,
used to his. That's because Grover's used to his IBS growling at him all the time, so it doesn't scare.
Oh, that's terrible. Listen, Jerry's not here.
That's fair.
Okay, so let's not, holy smokes. So you guys get click, or so you say you guys click. Then what happens? How do you guys then, as a team, how do you choose to go do your first investigation?
We usually get like a report, a message online through Facebook. Sidney and my girlfriend are the three that run the Facebook. But if somebody knows me personally and personally message me, then I will send a message to everybody in the group on a group message on Messenger and tell them what's going on, who it was, what's happening. And then after that, either they can't make it because of a family thing or something like that, or be like, yeah, okay, let's do it, when and where. So basically, I got the right people in the group to jump on board when it comes. But that's how it usually works. So I relay what's going on to everybody, and they jump on.
So how did you decide then? What was your guys' first investigation as an official group?
Our first investigation would be Amanda's house. It's her, and she's our member of the group, and we did her house, and she was kind of hesitant to do an investigation in her own home, but she wanted answers and know what was going on. So that's basically our first investigation.
So there was so Amanda's house, there was stuff going on, and she comes to you. Well,
there was definitely stuff. Yeah, stuff is a good word for it.
But I mean, for her to say something to you guys about investigating it, she was experiencing stuff before you guys went in and officially checked it out. Then, yes.
Yeah.
Well, she claims that her grandfather that owned it after the original owner, he was experiencing stuff there. Then her brother took over the house, experienced some stuff in the house, and plus his daughter. And then Mike and Amanda took over that house and all the kids they have. And Amanda has had experience. And of course, Mike, he brushes it off and it's like nothing really happens, but he sees something in the corner of his eye. So
when you're saying experiencing stuff, like, be a little more specific, like what, like, noises,
footsteps,
stuff.
Yeah, footsteps,
growls, noises,
heavy breathing,
thudding,
heavy atmosphere,
being pushed,
shadows,
having your hair blown.
Yeah.
Okay, so
like everything you could see in a Conjuring movie.
Yeah, they had like a metal on like a door, and like one day it just fell off, and no windows were open at all, and they were in the other room, and she freaked out. It was like, oh, geez.
All right. So she convinced you guys that there's something going on, but she still didn't really want to know what the answers were. She was a little apprehensive.
Because investigating your own home, doing it in your own home is very dangerous. It's basically like making whatever thinks it owns the house even upset and gets more stronger than it was before. So it's basically making a bully angry, the best way to put it.
Sort of like antagonizing it.
Yeah.
Well, kind of like poking a bear with a stick, basically, yeah.
Yes.
So is there a way you can approach an investigation to, especially if it's one of your members' house, that you kind of soothe the bear a little bit before you go poking it with the stick?
I think we do that afterwards because I actually offer and do home cleansings alongside everything. So, I mean, while we're doing the investigation, we don't necessarily try to calm it down because we want we want a reaction. We want evidence. We want to know what's going on.
Yeah. So I'm going to add on to it. It's just, there's no easy way to do an investigation without making it angry. Even if it's your own member's house, there's no way. You're going to upset it some way, being it's in its space. There's no easy way.
So it's, in other words, it's like a teenager, and you're going into the teenager's room.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
I can totally relate then. Okay.
So, like in the middle of the pessimistic, PMSing teenager area.
Perfect. Sounds like exactly where we want to go. Run ahead first. I know the judge and I specifically can relate to that. So.
Absolutely.
Oh boy. Anyway, that's why we do a paranormal podcast.
That's fair.
Yes. So okay. So tell us about the investigation into our house. Like, what were some of the things that you guys discovered when you were there?
David, you want to tell the story, or I can take over at the basement part because we all know that's my favorite part.
Yeah, when it gets to that part, but like the first time we walked through to get everybody's feet wet, Anita and Sidney, and we were upstairs, a heavy atmosphere. Like I was having a hard time breathing. But other than that, like when we got more information about what's going on with this place, like her niece is the demon child, they say. That she will act up, do sinister things. She hurt one of the daycare kids. She hurt the dog and cat in the house. Just weird things. The one night they invited everybody over for a fire, and she had the weirdest vibe ever. Sidney caught on to that, and so did Anita. I was not there because I was sick that day, but they were like, yeah, there is something weird with this girl, like a growl coming out of her, basically. Like, and
I didn't know.
An ordinary girl.
I didn't know that there was something wrong with her because the day beforehand was when she actually almost killed that cat.
Wow,
she just casually came up and sat next to me.
Yeah, it sounds like she was possessed or something.
Yeah.
Well, we had a psychic medium come in.
Yeah. Oh, her dad said that something about a trailer park, and there was like a haunted mirror or something like that, and like whatever it was attached to her and follows her everywhere she goes, even in that house. So basically, whatever that was, it had an influence on her. If the spirit was not like possessing her, quote, she's like a normal 9-year-old kid, you know. But once things are happening, she's like a switch, like she's bad.
So the story is she was possessed by an entity out of a haunted mirror that she came across in a trailer park.
Yes, it started like that. Whatever attached to her through there follows her to the house, along with whatever else was in that house at the time. So it's a weird, long, detailed story, but I still get chills from thinking about it. It's oppression, not a possession.
There's oppression and there's possession.
Okay.
Oppression is basically influencing, breaking a person's mental stage down before the last step. That would like be like depression, outrages, bad behavior, stuff like that. You know, like not acting themselves. That's oppression. And when that person is broken down, the evil spirit, the demon, will possess that person, then it's basically like a blackout for that person, and the demon will pop in and out whenever they want, you know. But mostly it's the demon that's doing all the activity, all the behaviors, and all that stuff.
Wow. So during the process of oppression, the individual that's being possessed or oppressed, they're still themselves. They're just acting out differently. Okay.
Yes. Yep. Oppression is basically the second to last part before possession.
Okay. Gotcha.
But yeah, like in the house too, to continue the story, they hear like footsteps, see shadows, a little girl walking around, dish noises. Amanda hates it down the basement because she feels like there's something there, and she is sensitive to the paranormal. And when you walk out of it, it feels like something's going to run up on you. So that
boy,
like,
you have no idea.
Things, like I have to see for myself kind of thing. So once everything settled down, we came together again, did a walkthrough, spirit box, basically see what we can get. Basically what you see on Ghost Adventures, how they interview people and do like a EVP session quick or a spirit box to see if they can get anything. Basically we did that. So at that time, we had an outside medium, which is Sidney's friend, which he has a Facebook page of his own, Mediums by Patrick. Is that right, Sidney?
Mediumship by Patrick, yep.
Mediumship, okay. So check that out for those that are listening. And this really changed my mind about mediums and psychics, because you don't know if they're just blowing smoke out their butts and just making stuff up. But having an outside source sensing the same exact thing like Amanda has, it blew my mind. But one thing was that leprechaun guy in the basement.
The leprechaun demon in the fucking in the basement.
Yeah, that's the only one that she did not pick up on. But the guy down there that she picked up on, he picked up on. So, and she sensed there was a dog outside roaming around. Teenagers of the 1800s, like late 1800s-ish, with their clothes that's showing. There's a lady in the house. He picked up three spirits in Trinity's room, the daughter's room.
Yeah.
Which was the little girl spirit in there, and he picked up another lady and something else he did not mention because he couldn't figure it out. But all together, they're on the property and in the house. There was about 16 spirits on that property and through that house that I counted. So we had our hands full that night.
Well, I should say so. Yeah.
Unknowing. Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
So, okay. So tell me about the leprechaun dude in the basement.
All right, I think that's my takeover, right, David?
Okay,
yeah. Go ahead. Explain the leprechaun to him and his reaction to it.
Okay. So me, David, or not me, David. Oh yeah, you ended up coming down there too. So me, David, Patrick, and Mandy all went downstairs in the basement, and Patrick had kind of walked through everything, and he was looking around, and he had taken time and spent time throughout the house. In the basement, we were down there for a maximum of 2 minutes, and we were up and out. At one point, he walked toward the back of the basement and kind of stopped, and he kind of pushed me and Mandy away. He's like, "You guys need to go upstairs." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Go upstairs." And then he went and looked in one of the well rooms. Mind you, wells are supposed to conduct spirit activity. This house has 2 wells and is right next to a water tower. So already the spiritual equation is already so skewed and not in our favor. But Patrick looks down one of the wells, immediately pulls back his face and go up, like immediately he pushed us all upstairs. We all had to run upstairs. And he would just kind of like shook his head, like he was overwhelmed. And he's like, let's go to the living room, let's talk. So we all go in the living room and we're briefed on everything. He told us about all those 16 spirits. And then he goes to the basement and is like, all right, in the basement, there is a sexually violent man toward the back, described what he looked like, the whole 9 yards. And then he goes, and in one of the wells is a demon creature, some kind of small green gnome looking guy. And he's like, I don't know, I can't explain it, but this is what I saw. And of course, I try to disprove everything first. I'm a skeptic above all else. Even though I talk like, oh yeah, paranormal this, paranormal that. The whole reason I want to know is because I want to know what else it could be. What else could it have been? A wire? Could it have been whatever could it be? So I wasn't believing in what he was saying for the most part. Patrick, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry, but I was skeptical at first. So of course we do the walkthrough and we get to the basement part. And David kind of looks at me and I look at him and he goes, so no women are allowed downstairs, right? And I said, yep. And he goes, so you want to go downstairs? And I said, yep. So for some reason, like I said, I get ballsy when the lights go out. So me and Mandy go downstairs in the basement together. Again, 2 women were told where we weren't supposed to go, and that's exactly where we went. And David gave us a walkie-talkie. And was like, call me if you guys need anything. We'll go from there. I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, I feel fine. So he goes upstairs, shuts the door. I think it was less than 30 seconds. And we took a picture, and Mandy is also very sensitive to the paranormal. She immediately turned around and nearly grabbed me, and she goes, there was a man staring at us. And so we call David. David comes down, saves us, whatever, goes back upstairs. And I'm like, all right, I know you're down here. So knowing he was a spirit of sexual predator descent, I offered, and I was like, hey, so I know you guys like messing with women. How about every time you interact with me solidly and I get evidence, I'll take off an article of clothing? Not thinking anything would happen. Not 10 seconds after I said that and offered.
So you've never been around a guy before? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, never a dead guy. Never a dead guy that wanted to get fresh. But
okay.
I felt a finger go from my neck clear down my spine, and the whole time I feel it going slowly down my spine. And I turned to look at Mandy and like, start taking pictures of me. Like, I need you to start taking pictures of me. She's like, why? I'm like, just take pictures. And I felt it get to the bottom of my back and then pull off. And I turn around and I flip the flashlight on. There's no wires. There's no boxes. There's nothing I could have bumped my back up against. And Mandy was a solid 4 or 5 feet away from me. And I'm like, okay. I held up to it, so I took off my sweater and I put it off my shoulder. I'm like, all right. I offered. You guys got to keep going. So at that point, Mandy had actually felt something brush past her knee right at odd gnome height. And something metal dragged across the basement on the other side of the basement toward the well. And that was another moment where her and I were like, oh my God, we need to get David down here. So as I go to grab the radio, again, I haven't moved because my feet are rotted, like rooted where I'm at. My feet are not moving. And I felt a hand again go up my back. And that was when I called David, and David came down, and we're like, yo, we got enough evidence. We're good. Like, we have plenty of evidence. We can go back upstairs. So,
Hey, David, run downstairs. I'm taking off clothes. I mean, did you hit a step as you even went downstairs? I mean, come on.
He probably leaped down the stairs. Oh.
So is that something you put on a bucket list of things to do molested by a ghostly leprechaun?
Unless it's Michael Keaton from Beetlejuice, I'm not interested. But
really, we don't know if it was the leprechaun or that guy, but it sounds like the guy, to be honest. But
if both of them, that's fine. But
leprechauns are known to be very randy.
That might be Leprechaun 6, right? Isn't that?
See, but I'm like 6
fun?
foot tall, and leprechauns are not my thing.
So what kind of evidence then did you guys get out of this encounter?
Oh God! David, don't you have that picture of the white mist wrapped around me while I'm being touched in the basement?
Yeah. Amanda had my camera down the basement when those two went down. There was 2 photos. The first one was a mist that was forming from the left to right of the picture. Mm-hmm. And then the next photo, it was gone. Of course, you can't really see it in that little tiny camera screen, so we had to blow it up. And when I blew it up and sent it to him, it's like, guys, this is pitch dark, middle of the night, and you see nothing flashing or glaring on anything. And there's a white mist going from left to right, and then it was gone the next picture. So that was our best evidence of that day. Basically, with the EVPs, I did not get anything from myself at all. So,
and see, I got nothing but spirit box activity.
Yeah.
So what's the so you know from the medium, there's all kinds of potential spirits there.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why you think you guys didn't get more evidence, or they just?
Honestly, my girlfriend and I, we actually a short story. My girlfriend and I, we went up to Saginaw one weekend, and we met a medium, and she was going through some stuff at work. She did not know anything about us and all this stuff. She hit everything. What she has experienced, everything that's going on with her, everything. And she said that she is the beacon of light where spirits come to them. And then she looks at me and is like, you are the protector. So with that saying, I feel like that I'm a protector where ghosts don't really interact with me. So there's something with my energy that they do not like to come towards me or show themselves to me like that. But like that incident down in the basement with Sidney and Amanda, they're more open to women, I guess, more than me. So
clearly, I was willing to strip for a dead guy.
I've heard that before, though. They said that in particularly, I heard that female teenage women ghosts are more. I don't know. There's something about their energy. They're more susceptible to that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
So Dave,
I think it's more like being open with the unknown, more open-minded, because more guys are more skeptic and more closed-minded about it. So that's probably the reason why. So,
well, David, if you offer to strip for the next ghost, you might get a little bit more. But
he can't afford me then.
Yeah, I get all the activity, man.
But hearing that, okay, does that embolden you that, okay, I can go into a situation like this and spirits are gonna get out of my way, or does that kind of I don't know, make you feel like, oh gosh, I'm never gonna catch any evidence because they're not gonna come around?
Yeah. It does give me a sense of like I can go into a room by myself, I can do what I need to do, see if I can catch anything for myself. But it also gives me a doubtful mind saying, I feel like I'm like messing this investigation up because like they're not coming to me, they're not opening up to me like I'm trying to open up to them. It does give me a doubtful mind, but I have to stick with it and see what happens, and eventually there will be a spirit that will be more prone to me, I guess. More open, so more whatever you want to call it. So I just have to hang in there.
Oh yeah, I feel the same way. I think it's good to have people on the team that would be more susceptible and some that are not. So that way you got an even balance of everything that's going on, and that just helps to rule things out.
Yeah. Yep.
But I have one question about the medium. The medium recognized, you said, by your count, about 16 different entities that you guys were dealing with that night. I would like to know, did the medium say anything about, did any one of those entities try to contact or try to communicate through the medium, or did they just make their presence known to the medium?
He is not that kind. There's different types of mediums, and he's not one where he gets channeled through anything. He can just see everything really, really well.
Okay, all right, I got you. Okay.
So is there
they're to make their stuff known.
Is there any kind of explanation or thought about why there's so many different spirits in this one location?
Yeah, well, David, you want me to go ahead and do it?
I mean, besides like domestic violence reports between with her grandfather was an angry person. Her brother had and his girlfriend had like charges on him for it. But all that negative energy will attract something. It will attract negative energy. It will attract more things. It was crazy. But with that dog, I'll explain a little bit on after we get to the end of this story. But Sidney, if you want to continue on that.
Yeah. Another big thing where there would be so much activity there is their house, literally their backyard is the water tower for the city. And water has been so well known to be a conductor for spiritual activity of all kinds. And like I said, they have 2 wells underneath their house, and they have the big water tower in their backyard. They basically have a target, a beacon, if you would, saying, spirits, come here. It's just like Cedar Point would be with all the electricity and all the water out there, too. That's why Cedar Point's also so haunted.
Right. So it's not necessarily any spirit that may have passed on the property or been a victim of a violent act at the property. It's just that's the place where everybody wants to go hang out. It's kind of like the Cheers for guns, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Not just that, but the whole neighborhood is violent too. The whole neighborhood has had history of all kinds.
Now, do you think the neighborhood skews violent because of the spiritual influence of what's going on?
I mean, there's always a possibility for that.
I don't think it's a possibility, but I don't think that's one of the reasons why the surrounding houses are. But like to her, there's a drug house down the street. There was an incident of a kid, a little boy or a little girl, drowned in a pool. I don't know what else, but I think everything's just coming in as a web to this house, and this house has the most energy, the most negative feel, the most negative history it has, with previous owners.
So explain to us about the dog.
Oh, okay. When we came back for the cleansing by Sidney, she had a friend over, and her friend has a little boy, and her son stayed over one night. He was sleeping upstairs in the little play area when you walk upstairs with Bronson, her Amanda's son. And this was like dead at night. And he said that he woke up with a dog from a distance where the other rooms were with red eyes. And he freaked out. He pulled over the covers over his head, said his prayers, and he took the covers off of his head to see if the dog was gone. And when he did that, the dog came even closer to him, like right in his face close. And then he did it again for a second time, did his prayers, blanket over his head, and then he checks again, the dog's gone. So it's basically, what is this manipulating animals and humans? But with our evidence, we could not get anything.
So there was no. First of all, what kind of dog was it?
I have no idea.
You didn't have any idea. You just saw this form.
I'm sure it's like one of those bigger dogs.
Like a Rottweiler, maybe?
I think at least, or something. You didn't really explain it. They didn't explain what kind of dog it was, but the dog's body's somewhere in the land, but the evil spirits can manipulate animals and form itself to whatever. And it formed it to this dog, and it showed itself to the little boy, and he just freaked out about it. And he's like, I'm not going back in this house again.
So what did you guys just conclude then after investigating that? I mean, and how was it after you guys investigated for her to go back in, even after you cleansed it?
Before we came back to cleanse, she said that there was activity. It got stirred up a little bit, but once we got the cleansing done throughout all the house, all the rooms, cupboards, you name it, everything with sage. When we were doing it, Sidney's sage was starting to pop, and she never had that experience. Oh, excuse me. And then we went outside, sprinkled cemetery dirt on 4 corners of the house, and that was it. Later that day,
I'm so proud of you for remembering all that.
Oh, how can I not? But later that night, Amanda messages us on our group messenger, and she said that her brother was out on a date with his girlfriend, and they were sitting in the driveway, and she also seen it in the kitchen or something like that. Like a black shadow was like walking the porch, around the porch. They have like a little wraparound porch, and it was walking, and they seen it from the driveway out from the road, and she saw it in the house. And we forgot to sage the porch. But other than that, nothing really happened after the cleansing. So Sidney did a good job of cleansing the house for them. And ever since, we haven't had any complaints. Yeah. But other than that, we haven't had any complaints. She didn't see anything. Everything's okay. So
I think like one quick thing from the cleansing too is that we were actually coming up out of the basement, finishing everything up. And we had just got done with everything, and I wanted to save the basement for last because I personally knew what was in the basement, and I wanted to save up any energy or whatever I had to do that. But as we're coming up out of the basement, the candle behind me that David's holding goes out. I slip and fall, but that's no surprise there. But the graveyard dirt that I had in a jar was on the other side of the porch, and that was full on thrown off the porch. And that was witnessed by Mandy and her brother, I think.
Yeah. Tim witnessed it. And the top,
yeah, because he was surprised. He's like, yo, that dirt just flew off.
Yeah.
So you guys went and got cemetery dirt and put it on the... Is that what you said?
So you can explain that, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
please,
you can explain the dirt, Sid.
Please explain where you're getting cemetery dirt from.
I will not disclose any information on where I get it from. But there's ways and different ways in what I practice and teach and everything where you can go and cleanse the area of everything. And a surefire way to do it is sage, of course. But you take that in, and I have an abalone shell that I keep that in. And this is going to sound like bullcrap to you guys, so I apologize. But I mean, if it works, it works. So, we just put it on the abalone shell. I have pheasant feathers and tied to selenite that I actually waft the smoke with. And so we start on the inside of the house. We open up every closet, every cupboard, every door, every window. Everything's opened up. And we go through each room, each building, or not each building, each closet, each room, everything. And we go through and we sage the whole thing. The whole time the homeowners are with us, explaining why they want these spirits out, why they want to be left alone, reaffirming that it's their space and they are the ones that live there now, that they are not welcome. And, we just kind of go through, and then I do a mixture of eggshell, sage dust, and graveyard dirt in the four corners of each house, or each of the four corners of the house. And that's supposed to provide a blanket of protection, essentially, over all of the areas of the house.
So what is it? What is it about sage that's the properties make it good for cleansing?
Oh, man. So this sage goes all the way back to Native American culture, I believe.
Yes.
But sage, Palo Santo, the whole 9 yards. And I practice, well, I don't want to say it that way because my mother's listening. I dabble in certain practices and whatnot and have researched, what has protective properties, because if I'm going to use these things and go ghost hunting, knowing it's spiritually dangerous, I want to go in with as much ammunition really as I can, especially if I'm going to go and try to clear the house of all these things. But sage, eggshell, all that fun stuff is all supposed to have the air clearing, spirit calming, overall cleansing ability that you would hope to find in a home cleansing ritual.
And
sage
you
is.
still have not satisfied my curiosity about the graveyard dirt. Just so you know.
That's fair. That's very fair.
Where do you get the recipe for that? Like, is that like something on Pinterest? Like,
No, it's literal graveyard dirt.
I mean, what?
She literally stole it at the dead of night. And it's like, I'm going to take some dirt.
Well, if you ask my neighbors, apparently I go downstairs in the basement with a Ouija board at my funeral home and try to summon the Satan too. But we're not going to get into that.
Well, since you brought up the funeral home, then why don't you enlighten us a little bit to your current living situation?
Yeah.
So I accidentally moved into a funeral home.
No. Wait a second. So, like, it was just a day where there was no funeral going on. Then, so you accidentally moved.
How do you accidentally move in one?
I mean, come on.
With how blatantly obvious it should have been, it may as well have been like that.
Like the sign that said
my husband and my husband and I, we were looking at moving anyway, and we found this beautiful apartment. It's got like the 10-foot high detailed tin ceilings and a hand-painted mural in the hallway. It's a 2-bedroom. It came with a washer, it came with a dryer, it came with everything you could ever want for. All I had to pay was electric and internet. We move in. It's $500 a month for a 2-bedroom. We're like, oh, that's a steal. No wonder. This is great. Well, a breaker blew, and I had to go downstairs, and the landlord was kind of hesitant to give me the passcode to get downstairs. And I'm like, dude, I've been here for less than 24 hours. Like, let me go downstairs and figure this crap out. And so I go downstairs after he gives me the code, and I'm very nosy. I like figuring things out. So I'm going through, and I'm finding all these old paintings, old chandeliers, these deep embalming tanks, the deep sinks where you drain the body out of. And then I find cremation order forms and Western Casket Company receipts and tax documents and old checks, all with my address on it, all with the word funeral home over top of it. So it was actually a funeral home in the 1910s, owned by the Athertons and the Waters. And then it went from the Waters and Smith Funeral Home, the Atherton Funeral Home, to the Wollover Funeral Home. So it's been a funeral home for about 80 years, and then it sat vacant for 4 or 5. And right before we actually moved in, they were still moving caskets out of the carriage house out back.
Now, Judge, if you heard this story in front of you, as you sat on the bench, what would your advice be to this young person who was seemingly made an innocent mistake of moving into a funeral home?
I would find her in contempt of court, send her right to jail.
Okay. I'm sure.
I mean, are there going to be dead guys I can strip there for? Or?
Well, there are probably some guys. There's probably some live guys there.
I need to go home.
So, Anything interesting happen at the funeral home other than?
Oh God, all the time, all the time. We actually broke into the safe that's in my part of the apartment. That we found the original keys in the 1920s.
Once again, Judge, if somebody comes before you, I accidentally broke into the safe.
Yeah, that's called safe cracking.
That's good.
Doesn't matter. It's still safe.
I had to know.
Oh boy, there's an old saying: curiosity killed the cat, and the demon dog showed up at the other house.
Yeah, probably. And I actually have cats, and they hate it here. They freak out all the time.
Well, they say that animals can see things that sometimes people can't, so they might be seeing some things.
Oh, yeah. And my husband, who's not very into this kind of thing at all, the other day, he actually opened up our bedroom door, and I heard him yell and immediately shut it. And he's like, I told you not to mess with me. And I'm like, what is going on? So I walk up, and he is holding the door shut with his eyes closed. And he looks at me and he goes, you need to go in there and sage it. I'm like, what happened? And he's like, there was someone standing over our bed. He's like, I saw it. There was a bright white light. And my husband's pretty level-headed. He's usually pretty, he usually keeps his wits about him, but he was not okay that night. He was like, and we had blackout curtains up in our room, so there was no light coming in from anywhere. But he was very uncomfortable and very angry. He's like, I told you guys I live here now. I shouldn't have to be dealing with this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you're going to make them upset, and then they're going to start hiding your underwear, and then we're going to have to deal with that.
Oh, my gosh. So have you guys done an investigation at your apartment?
I would love to, but I only have access to 1/3 of it, so it wouldn't be as fulfilling for me. I'd have to have access to the whole house.
Well, you know the code to the basement, apparently. So.
No, because my landlord found out I was going down there, and he taped everything up.
Oh, jeez. This just sounds like a front page story on Down the Line.
We actually have made the front page. My neighbor tried to burn down the house after finding out his wife was cheating on him.
Oh, my God. Wow. I don't think you ever told me that one, Tim.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think this
we were in the Norwalk Reflector for it.
I think this just turned into a whole other podcast. Where's Jerry Springer?
Hi, everyone.
So, what have you guys? What else have you guys done noteworthy as far as investigations since you guys have started?
Oh, the Norwalk Theater for sure.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, the old.
How did you forget about that? That was my favorite one.
I know. I kind of drew a blank on that one. But
I had great experiences.
So what happened at the Norwalk? What happened at the Norwalk Theater, and how did you guys happen to get in there to investigate that?
Again, shout out Patrick. Patrick is the one that got us in there.
Yeah. There was a team from Toledo.
Patrick's the medium, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
But there was a team in Toledo that did a no-show on them, and then get a message from Patrick saying, hey, you guys want to fill in? This is a do it or not kind of situation. And I was like, yeah, we'll be there tomorrow morning. So we basically took their place. But with Sidney, with all the experience, she can explain what was going on in that 100-year-old theater, and their original projectors were in there, their stage was in there, the original seating were in there. It was a good time.
Unfortunately, it wasn't 100 years old. It was built in the 1940s. But like you said, everything was still there. The old film reels, everything. It was like taking a step back into the 40s, and it was the craziest experience.
That would be fascinating.
I think it started. I was starstruck the whole time walking through there. I was like, I don't care about the ghosts. Look at all this history.
Yeah.
Now,
Look at all the mildew.
Do they use the theater for anything, or is it just
No, they're working on restoring it right now. That's why we had to get in there when we did, because after that point, they're going to be moving stuff around so much that there's going to be so much. We would need full respirators and everything with how much mold they'd be kicking up. So we had to go ahead and do it sooner rather than later, before they started doing all that. But, I mean, we had quite a few experiences, actually. Again, Patrick was there, and his wife was there also. And at one point, we were downstairs in one of the bathrooms where supposedly this man had gotten into a fight while trying to peek into the women's bathroom. And I actually got a clear as day breath. I was standing in the women's bathroom looking up at the hole where the man would have been looking through the stall. And I was like, you mess with women an awful lot. Well, here I am right now. Like, what are you going to do with me? And
I know how this.
Clearly, I have a method. I have the best method possible. And sure as shit, sorry. Sure enough, I had a breath come through on one of my audio recordings, and I actually stopped and looked around, and I actually have it on camera. And I said, "Did any of you guys just sigh? Like, is anyone else in this room with me?" And all my other investigators were somewhere else, or Patrick was in a different room. And then he came out, and he's like, guys, I think something's wrong. And we're like, what's going on? And he managed to kind of take off his shirt, and there were scratch marks up and down his arm. And I was like, oh, so you're going to go ahead and scratch the man, but you won't do anything with the woman? And, I mean, ever since then, everything kind of happened to me that day. Because, again, I start trash talking, and I get ballsy when the lights go out. And, it's going to get me in trouble one of these days. But my personal favorite experience. What was that?
I got to be honest, these stories are starting off like a dime store novel.
Again, maybe I'm taking inspiration from my other job, but
or penthouse
fast start.
Oh goodness, no! But at one point, I ended up on the stage naturally, and that's where I belong. And I was looking around, and there's mirrors toward the back of the stage. So as I'm turning around, all of a sudden, up on the balcony where the seats are all at, there's like the old-fashioned circular bulbs, and I had no idea that those were up there. But I watched them light up in an archway from left to right very slowly and then shut off. I kind of stopped, and I looked at the girl that was with me. I'm like, you saw that, right? She's like, yeah, I did. I'm like, didn't they shut the breakers off? She's like, yeah, there shouldn't be any electricity going through this at all. I'm like, interesting. So I called up my team, and I'm like, hey, is anyone up there? Did anyone bump into anything? Did anyone step on a cord? Did someone hit a switch in another room? Like, where is everyone at this moment? What is everyone doing? Does everybody have their
clothes on?
Yeah. It was cold in there, so I wasn't going to offer to strip. It was freezing in there.
It was like 50 degrees cold in there. It was pretty cold.
I mean, I thought maybe
it was.
I thought maybe David was trying to like get some reaction, and maybe he said, well, if it works for her, maybe I'll try. I don't know what's going on.
No, I just get lucky somehow. I don't know why.
I think we all have a good idea.
There's a Dr. Pepper come out of my nose. Thank you.
Oh boy. So you would say the Norwalk Reflector was a good. Not the Norwalk Theater. You see, I'm thinking about you making the front page. My bad.
Yeah, I mean, me and Norwalk, man, we got some history.
Jeez, are you making the back page of the Norwalk Reflector then too?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. So where else have you guys gone and investigated any other places up there?
As a team,
we're working on trying to get in
to a dance studio that's just down the street.
Oh, there's a dance. So there's a dance studio in like an older building downtown.
Was it an older building? I think it was an older building. I don't remember.
Yeah, because it used to be law offices.
Yeah. She said that there's like footsteps upstairs, and then there's like a costume room, like a big room, like doing costumes and setups and whatnot. And then there's another room.
Which is freaking without the ghost stuff.
Yeah, is under construction, and they say that this wall talks, and that's basically all the activity you get. So they explained to us that this wall is like a demonic entity talking through the wall, I guess. But we haven't really followed up on that interview.
Yeah. What was interesting about that with the demonic issue is that Mandy was having the same problem at her house with the wall talking. And again, I thought that was like way bizarre and otherworldly. But when you get it, two of the same kinds of activity and two of the exact same symptoms, really, that's when I was like, maybe I should look into demon talking walls because that might be interesting.
Yeah, and when they said walls talk, and I immediately was like, like throughout the history, throughout the years, walls and original flooring will soak up all the events, all the things, and they like contain it like a plastic container, like you put your food in, right? But that's what I thought at first, But when they explained it, I was like, yeah, we gotta come in here one day, but we haven't messaged them about it yet, and especially with this epidemic. Yeah, it might be on.
And we've got one team member down.
Oh, jeez. Well, the one story. So I guess to explain to our listeners how I found you guys, so when you started the Facebook page, you started putting up stories of haunted places or legends in Northwest Ohio, and the one that you guys put up was about the Sandusky Mall, and I had a couple people tag me in a Facebook post, and I checked, and that got my attention, and that's why I reached out to you guys. So tell our listeners, because I think a lot of our listeners would be familiar with the Sandusky Mall, what supposedly goes on there? What's the stories behind that? And have you guys had a chance to go check any of that out, or do you have any?
I wish we could go check it out.
Yeah, I haven't contacted them about them, but these are just reports on what people have witnessed. In the article that I found on it on ohioexploration.com, that like these old stores are no longer around, like Kaufman's and I don't know what else is what's in there, but
Elder Beerman, things like that.
Elder Beerman's one of them, but this is just old reports, and I'm sure that stories are still going around about it. Like let's see, woman from the fragrance department of Kaufman's or Macy's, I think that's what the store switch, that she felt like somebody was standing behind her, hearing screams at like 1:30 in the morning. Couple times there were like a noose being found in the storage area of Cheers Bar and Grill.
Well, another interesting thing going back to that perfume thing, someone actually reached out to us on that post. Her grandmother actually had a heart attack and passed away in one of those shops that were featured. And she was like, I think it's my grandma. She used to love sniffing perfume. And we were like, oh, that's so crazy. Because, these are...
That might be a possibility. But the big one that's more common witness is the lady in red. The security officer at that time witnessed her and called the cops around the corner. And by the time the cops came around, she was gone. Little kids seeing her. She usually roams around where Hot Topic is and the Kalahari Casper Off-Road Adventure Play area is at. It's just one of those things, like, we need to get in here to see it. There's a witness of a headless hitchhiker waiting outside of Kaufman's, which is the front of the building, which that department is another entrance to the
Kaufman's
mall.
Kaufman's wasn't that bad a store. I don't understand all the, the headless hitchhiker and stuff going on. I mean, the dates on these, or the dates of the death of these witness ghosts, I have no idea. It does not say anything on here. And why is the security guard calling for police for a woman in red? That's what I want to know. Why didn't he go take care of it himself?
I don't think the security officers are armed with firearms, and he thought that she was an intruder. but I guess he was just that scared of what she could be or what her intentions were. You know, being in a law enforcement atmosphere, your mind's going 100 miles per hour. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what their intentions are. If they are armed, are they? Yeah, like, am I gonna end up being shot? You know, it's just.
See, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that. You got a team member that's stripping for ghosts, and this guy's calling the police for some old lady walking around in red in the mall.
Who knows?
See, that's where I'm like.
This is the report of this website, so.
So have you guys tried?
Maybe he didn't report it because he saw him run into the wall and disappear, and he's like, "Oh, maybe I should lay off whatever else I was drinking. That wasn't coffee."
Right.
So have you guys?
I mean.
Have you guys tried to approach the people who own the mall and get in there and investigate anything? Have you tried to reach out to find the security guy? Get his first account?
As for attempts, no, we have not. But I honestly don't know where to start to even contact the owner of the building, of the mall. I have no idea where to contact that person.
Well, now would be a great time because it's shut down, so they wouldn't have to worry about locking everything up. It's already all done. But with the virus going around now, like, that'd be the perfect time to do it. So we can try calling them, because now they don't have to get approval from all the other stores because all the other stores are already locked down.
It sounds like to me you need to take charge of this situation, and you know, and yeah. I think David sounds like he's a little scared. Scared.
I told him, like, hey, I don't want all the responsibility, but we can share it. So if you guys want to look into places, go ahead, do your research, bring it back to me and see what you come up with, and I'll do my own research, you know, or
yeah, we got places lined up. We're just waiting for.
Yeah, but basically, I felt like all the responsibilities, all the research, all the places, all the stuffs were like weighing on my shoulder, and nothing's really getting done. So I was like, we're going to share the load.
Are we having an airing of grievances here on the From the Shadows podcast? Is that where we're at?
No.
Or a little therapy? Are we having a therapy session?
Just a little tweaking of policy.
Tweaking of policy.
No,
Judge, how would you like to rule?
Judge,
how would you like to rule on this?
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and pass the gavel to you and Jason, and you be the judge.
Oh, the judge is handing over the judginess. What is going on?
He must not be wearing his robe right now. So
he saw a ghost too, or?
He's stripping for a ghost.
I would put this out: if you guys do happen to secure a date to go in and check out the mall, I think Jason and Jerry, who's not on air with us tonight, you guys would probably love to go along on that, and because the mall's huge, obviously it's a big space. You guys would probably need a little extra help, and Jason and Jerry are seasoned ghost investigators themselves, so I'm sure they would enjoy going up and now do not plant the seed in Jerry's head that he needs to take a shirt off or anything. Nobody wants to see that.
Good job, Sid.
Nobody wants
yeah, that's they call me Ghost Bait for a reason.
Yeah, you're never going to live this down. You do realize that.
Oh no, I have done way worse things in the last 3 weeks than that.
Jesus.
That's another podcast right there.
Anytime y'all want me on, I'll talk all day long. That's fine.
Holy smokes. What guys, go ahead and tell all of our listeners how to get a hold of you guys. And if they do have a place, I mean, well, how far? I know right now the social distancing thing, nobody's going out and doing any investigation, but people being confined to their homes, they might discover that their homes are a little bit more haunted than what they expected. You might be able to witness some stuff. So tell everybody how they can get a hold of you guys, where they can find you guys, and maybe set up an investigation.
Basically, it's our Facebook page. It's Clyde Paranormal Investigation. You'll hit it when the profile picture is a green demon, and then our name is green. So that's an indication that you're on the right spot.
Does this have anything to do with the evil? Does it have anything to do with the evil leprechaun? Is that
no?
Okay.
No.
We should have. That's what we should have done as a green gnome for our
T-shirts. Yep, there you go.
David, we should have had a green gnome on our T-shirts.
You gotta yell at my girlfriend for that one. But,
a naked gnome.
But
why not
you can
just
contact us?
Just make it a stripper.
Oh, go ahead.
Let's just go make it a stripper pole.
Oh my God.
That's your. I mean, come on. Okay, so how do?
But once you get to the Facebook page, you can just message us. There's a messaging button on there. You can message us. My personal email's on there. You can email me at any time. I look at my emails daily. So you can just give us a shout out on what you guys want us to do. If you want us to come to your place to investigate, and it's totally for free. So.
Okay. Now there's no truth that that she's going to strip then for any ghost. Is that what we're?
Yeah, no. Like I said, it has to be Michael Keaton from Beetlejuice, or it has to be Zach Bagans. If Zach Bagans was listening to this, then hey, we can work something out. But
well, if they are attracted to people in their birthday suits, then I think you need to take a layer off or two.
Oh, jeez.
Alone.
Clyde Paranormal, we do whatever we can to get evidence.
That's right. All right. It's all for science. It's all for science. So.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Science.
Like my husband.
Well, I want to tell you guys, this has been a lot of fun talking to you guys.
It's been a blast. Yes.
It has been a blast. Yes, it has been a blast.
I'm glad.
I'm hoping that you guys get to get out and check out some more great locations. And if you capture some evidence, you guys are going to start putting that up on your Facebook page and website.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. If it's a residence place, then there's going to be some paperwork for evidence release because we take our clients' privacy seriously because they don't want like the recognition and people like bombarding them about their place and all that stuff. So as long as they're fine with it, they can sign it and we can release it. But other than that, privacy is a good thing for us. Is a strict rule for us.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
I understand that. Yes.
Yeah. And we did so keep us in the loop. We definitely, like I said, if you guys do get in the Sandusky Mall, man, I think that would be a cool investigation to go check out just to see if the possibility of a mall being haunted. You know, I mean, nobody goes to malls anymore. It's hard to believe anybody's sticking around there after life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying, man.
It's a dying mall, but they're putting a new store in their Hobby Lobby. But it's like, oh, okay, you're gonna take a gamble there. People that comment on the post are locals through Sandusky, Seneca, Erie, Huron counties, and they're like, oh, this has to be a marketing scheme. I never heard of this before. Da 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 da. It's like
no, we're just sharing ghost stories. Calm down.
Yeah, there's no marketing schemes. We have nothing to do with them. It's just awareness kind of thing. But we do try to do weekly lives every Saturday at 8. We just finished one up last Saturday about the Ouija board. So the next one is your house haunted? So basically get into details on what to expect and debunk everything and look at the little things.
Oh, okay. Kind of like a little public service announcement deal you got going on there.
Yeah, so. Basically, yeah. It's educational purposes.
That sounds good.
Cool. All right, cool. Well, once again, hey, we appreciate you guys coming on and having some fun with us and sharing some ghost stories, some scary stuff. So,
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Sidney. Thank you, David.
Yeah, we're looking forward to hearing some more stuff. So, Judge, you got anything to add?
Nope, just it was another fun episode, and for those people out there that are interested in getting into, the field of paranormal research and ghost hunting, reach out to these two and see what sort of information you can get to start you out on your journey.
Yes, indeed.
Definitely.
Yes.
Anybody that wants to do it, just think long and hard about it if you really want to do this. But it is a fun time. Once the night gets going, it's fun.
Well, I think any investigation with Sidney is probably a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
So on that note, we'll let you guys get going, and thanks again for stopping by.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us.
Yep.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Yep. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, a final word. Please visit us on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/From the Shadows Podcast, and on our Instagram page at instagram.com/From the Shadows Podcast. You can visit our webpage at FromTheShadowsPodcast.GoDaddySites.com, or contribute to our Facebook discussion page called After the Shadows, and tweet us on our Twitter feed at twitter.com/podcast_from. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to hearing from you all. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.